I think there's a problem with the board, so we better... It's time to make history once again as you fly with me to Shenzhen in China to watch the first Commodore 64s in over 35 years rolling off the production line. Come join me for a little bit of the making of the Commodore 46 Ultimate. You get it. Getting ready to take off here. I actually upgraded to first class premium, so let's see how much space they can fit on these planes these days. I'm taking off now. See ya. Welcome to Cyberpunk. I'm here with the whole Commodore crew. And after an appropriately named drink and a snack, it was time to head to our hotel near the factory for a bit of shut-eye. Say hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Welcome to the Commodore factory. First Commodore factory since 1994. History being made, right?
It is.
Can you guess when I was born?
1996.
I was a member of Lemon 64
Yes.
for the last 15 years. I found an old post of mine on Lemon 64 from like 10 years ago where I was asking like, who owns the Commodore brand?
Well, now you know the answer.
No, I know the answer. I should reply to the same thread. I really should. And after that meeting, to make sure the factory is still on track for our estimated November shipping start date, it was time to head to the production line itself. Now, in other videos, you've already seen a bit of the design of the machine, and it's important to repeat that the motherboard is a heavily modified version of Gideon Zweitzer's original design, which means this is not an emulator. It's a full hardware replication of the original Commodore 64 from Commodore. Now, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Retro Games Limited and PlayOn's VC64 Mini and its big brother. My videos about their products actually have, I think, over 1 million views. That's 2 million eyeballs. But it's fair to say that as great value emulators, there's no real competition between us. We're existing in different markets. And the differentiation, of course, is the Commodore 64 Ultimate has more of a high-end budget, and in return, you can plug in dusty old cartridges from 1982, datasets, floppy drives, even modems, and use them just like you could with the original. But being an FPGA, it allows a bit of magic as well, like its 8 recreated SID chips, offering 24 channels of glorious SID chip sound. So with the motherboard design finalized and the FPGA board now depicting its ancestor that it recreates on that chip, the next step is fabrication of the motherboard. In a recent short video, we took a tour of PCBWay to see how motherboards like this are made, right down to the white paint they put on. And if you need a great quality PCB for your project, I recommend PCBWay, where you can get one starting at just $5. Because as we all know, PCB stands for Packaging Circuits Beautifully. No, it doesn't it? Well, that's enough from me. Now it's time to hand back to PERIFACtic at our factory. Okay, it's time to enter the factory proper. Solder oven. It takes about 8 minutes to go from end to end. So a very exciting moment waiting tantalizingly for the almost finished board. I feel like David Attenborough or something. So throughout this whole process, we talked about how we're rebooting Commodore or giving Commodore a bit of a power up. So this is our first board. I thought it might be appropriate that we put the first power switch on the board of the new Commodore that we powered up. Good luck, little guy. First Commodore 64 in 36 years, right there. You know, China is something else. I've just been out for a bite to eat and got some chicken noodles. Got some snackies for the hotel. I've got to remember the way back to my hotel, though. just past the pile of rubble and through the 1064 mopeds. And then my hotel's up on the left. So, yeah, ready for another day at the factory tomorrow. Good evening. Well, this was a pavement. In all seriousness, it's a pretty incredible country, full of culture mixed with retrofuturism, just like we like it at Commodore. How long have you worked here?
Oh, my whole life.
Oh, excellent. And what do you do at Commodore?
Well, I'm the legal advisor, so I make sure that Perry doesn't accidentally sell the company, and we don't violate any international trade laws. Keep everything running ship-shape.
Hello everybody, my name is Brett Stickle and I'm the COO. With my experience with Motorola, I spent many years leading top teams in quality, in customer satisfaction, and customer loyalty. And I'm looking forward to bringing that here to Commodore.
Hello. You work here?
I do.
Okay, what do you do here at Commodore?
I'm a CFO of Commodore, and I make sure all the money's spent well, tightly, as little as possible, and as slow as possible.
This sign is backwards. Change it immediately.
They are the serial number.
That goes on the top of the cartridge port.
Yes.
And before the motherboard can be placed inside the case with its keyboard, each board needs testing. And to do that, Gideon created this test rig and some software, which I'm about to see for the first... Who the f*** is that, Gideon? Right, you're fired. Fired up to test the board. But despite it passing with flying colors, something doesn't look right to me. That cursor is not meant to be white, and our new menu is not meant to scroll all the way up like that. You have a keyboard on you?
Should have rolled. Think about that.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's the joystick test would be doing it. This is essentially a test chip in here. So if I turn this off, take out the joystick test, then it should not scroll down the menu. Let's see. All right, well, now with it working, I should say there are so many details that we put into the making of this machine. I'm not going to spoil all of them for you. I'll let you discover them after you order yours on Commodore.net, receive it and unbox it. But one thing I do want to show you is kind of fun. My second ever video, nearly 8 years ago, I did a refurbishment of a Commodore 64. And, well, I'll just let you watch. A quick look at how they were before again. And here they are now. I was even able to salvage one sticker from the cartridge port just for authenticity and that little touch. And then I put a quality control sticker of my own on this one. They are glistening silver now, and I am so happy. This feels like a brand new machine just based on that one little touch. Little did I know back then I wouldn't just be making things look like new, but would actually be making a new Commodore 64. But yes, I've therefore arranged for the factory to put a required serial number sticker on the cartridge port, just like we put stickers on the cartridge port at Commodore back in the 80s. And don't worry, the cartridge port will be silver. Here's a sample. And I've gone one further. We've got our own quality control stickers here that will actually be applied by a specific quality control operative who we're employing separately at the factory to oversee production. And as we continue to oversee testing... Oh wait, that's not good. I think there's a problem with the board, so we better... Yeah, our lovely new Commodore 64 Ultimate board is displaying, well, these glitches. I mean, it's kind of good in an 80s disco in a microwave kind of way, but that's not really what we were going for. There's clearly a problem on the board, but thankfully Gideon leapt into action, running some detailed signal integrity tests, as well as heat tests and so on. And he discovered some, well, unexpected results. The SO DIMM connector and the common mode chokes weren't just misbehaving, they were actually dipping the impedance way below the 100 ohms that we want for HDMI, more like 70 or 80 ohms, which causes reflections, which cause, well, our glitchy rainbow rave. So we tried applying some RF shielding tape, and guess what? the glitches vanished completely and instantly. Now there's a mismatch in the common mode chokes that causes a resonance, and that resonance frequency depends on the length of the traces. On this revision of the board, the resonance of the red channel unfortunately falls exactly within the frequency band of interest, causing what's called intersymbol interference, or simply causes those bits to flip from white, as they should be, to, in this case, purple. Even Mace Windu wouldn't want that in his window. So Gideon has redesigned the traces, used some smaller chokes with less bounce back, and adding some damping resistors. And this is the end result. It's been recrowned as the ultimate Commodore 64 and is finally glitch-free. Crisis averted. Right, onwards. Oh, pardon me. So I'm now in Guangzhou, and apparently there's meant to be a big tower somewhere, but can't seem to see it anywhere. I don't know if... Oh! Well, anyway, that's more than enough about that gorgeous motherboard. What about the rest of the Commodore 64 Ultimate, I hear you ask? Well, you've likely already seen our transparent keyboard PCB, the first ever in a computer, I might add. And here it is in situ on the transparent keyboard base with, just for fun, transparent keys. The final ones will look different, of course, but one thing that surprised us is that the glass PCB has some real bounce to it. Unlike the fiberglass used in regular PCBs, which is rock hard, this actually springs up and down. It's really quite nice. Maybe we should market it as the world's most ergonomic typing experience, providing cushioning for your joints or something as you hammer the WASD keys using the machine's built-in keyboard joystick emulation option. Yeah, that's right. And those are keys that I might add that have been tested to withstand thousands of presses right here in our keyboard factory without the lettering wearing off. And as for those gold-colored keycaps, here are our samples of how they will look as well. And it actually surpassed our expectations. We even managed to get some transparency to the gold for those LEDs to shine through. And speaking of the Gold Founders Edition, what's all this then? That's how every part of the Commodore 64 Ultimate is made. Okay, here we are at the assembly plant because we're going to be producing so many units. We need a really big assembly company. This is called Final Box Build Assembly. It's different to PCB assembly. This is where they actually package the computer and send it down these lines as it gets built in stages. Case, motherboard, keyboard. Don't forget the LEDs. And that is it for our video touring the factories and seeing how it's made, the Commodore 64 Ultimate, of course. And it's been an incredible experience. I think I would say we got 10 times more stuff done than we would have done in the same amount of time doing emails and Zoom calls. So really great to be boots on the ground here at the Commodore factories. And I want to thank you guys for joining us as we delve deeper into the retrofuturism aesthetic of Commodore. And on the way home now, I'm on a layover and I'm going to pop into this dealership and get some very special new LEDs for a special edition of the Commodore 64 Ultimate. It's going to be the Commodore 64 Ultimate Stalin edition. They're closed. Probably for the best. But let's just hope the tariff delays, which have been holding things up in all directions, don't affect our product too much and that the retro gods shine on us. And even if they do hold us up a little bit, I suppose, as they say, the best things in life are worth waiting. 64. Until next time, cheerio.
One man can make a difference, Perry. Or one woman. Or dog. The Fractics, lone curators in a vintage world. The world of retro recipes.